So, what are we doing today?
Today, we're in Vancouver, and we are going to Hawker's Delight,
That's right.
which is on Main Street, just south of King Ed, which is 25th, for those of you who don't know.
In search of cheap eats.
Yes, and so hawker, if you're not familiar with the expression, is used in Singapore and other parts in Malaysia. Hawker centers are places where street food have been moved inside. So the stalls that you would find out on the street have been moved inside for various reasons, hygiene, yada, yada, yada. And so this is a Singapore-style Malaysian restaurant.
Yeah, and it's Vancouver is an extraordinarily expensive city, like one of the three most expensive cities in the world. But this is a place that's been around for over 20 years, we think.
I think 2025.
Pretty sure it's lost to the fogs of distant memory.
But we've been going there that long.
It's a long time. The years blur into one another. And this has got some pretty authentic Malaysian-style dishes. And for Vancouver, it's cheap.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's cheap, but we'll talk about the price, but it's cheap for Vancouver, okay? So let's go.
All right, let's check it out. All right. Let's see what we can track down here. Fortunately, it's a beautiful day today. It's really nice.
It's gorgeous.
I hope that they're open. So yeah, it's this great little hole-in-the-wall place.
Classic, very little in the way of decor.
Which we kind of like. Hey, it looks like some people are there. This is it. Hawker's Delight, right there. 4127 Main Street.
There's a table here as well.
Hi, how are you doing? Good. You gonna have a Gado Gado?
Yes, please.
One order Gado Gado.
Yeah, and a Laksa.
For here, two roasted.
For here, it's good. And do we get roti?
One order roti as well. And for the laksa, you guys want the one with rice noodle or wheat noodle?
The wheat noodle.
Wheat noodle.
Sure.
So one Gado Gado, one laksa, and one roti for you.
Thank you,
Your
yes.
total gonna be 32.50. We accept cash or debit, no tap. Thank you.
Have it.
Please insert down here. Thank you, ma'am. And your order take around like 10 minutes.
Beautiful. Thanks. Yeah, so this is very, very important. Cash and debit only, no tap. So this is actually pretty similar to ordering in a Singapore food court in the sense that you go up, you order, you pay, and then you have to sit there and wait, and you grab a table if you can. Unfortunately, we were able to get a little
We're at the counter by the window, which is nice.
Yeah, and yeah.
Yeah, and the pricing is not the same as Singapore, so that was just under $33 Canadian before the tip. Now, to be fair, we're being a little bit piggy today because ordinarily I'd get something and Rob would get something and that would be it, but we decided to get the roti as well because what we know is roti canai. They're calling here roti prata. It's so good.
Anytime you get a fluffy, crispy bit of fried dough with some curry dipping sauce.
It is the croissant
It's a
of
good day
Southeast Asia, and it is so good.
It's a good day to be alive.
Yeah, and so we decided to kind of splurge and get that. So it's a little bit more than we'd ordinarily spend here, but still, in Vancouver, for lunch to come in under $40 for two people is considered cheap. So just if you're coming to Vancouver, you need to know that. This is cheap.
Yeah, and there's no liquor license, but they have some soft drinks and complimentary tea, I believe.
Yes, they do have complimentary tea and water at the front up near the counter, and they're just going to call out our number. We're lucky number 7. They're going to call it out when our food is ready, and we'll grab it from them. And like Rob said, it's cash or debit. They don't do credit cards here, and they also don't do taps. So you have to actually have a physical card with you to put into their machine. So good to know before you come. That's pretty important.
Cash is king on many Vancouver Asian restaurants.
Yeah, well, just like in Asia, there are many places we could only use cash. So
it's got all the classics like
lode bihun soto ayam, which is one of the fantastic soups we had in Bali. Prawn noodle, bihun with dried noodle, Hainan chicken rice, which is truly a classic.
They have nasi lemak and nasi goreng.
Laksa, which is my personal favorite. All kinds of the traditional, most common Malaysian dishes here. All the classics. All right, there it is.
I didn't think you were joining me. Go.
Yeah, comes the lovely Laurel with all this yummy food.
That's the roti.
There it is, the roti canai, one piece of flatbread and a delicious curry sauce. Now, what else have you got for me?
That is your laksa. That looks beautiful.
This is amazing. So you got tofu puffs, prawns, a big thing of sambal,
That's chicken.
Yellow noodles.
Hard-boiled egg, and then there's the
fish cake.
dressed fish cake.
Yum, yum.
So that's that.
That's for me.
So I would say there's a little too much peanut sauce on that.
But there's no shortage of peanut sauce, which is the good news.
I'm gonna have to push some out of the way. That's a bit much for me. That's like brown.
Okay, let's see.
Under that should be. So we have green beans and cucumber, carrot, and bean sprouts. And then there's tofu in there as well.
Wow, that looks great.
So, oh, and there's cauliflower.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unreal.
yeah. So there's lots going on in this salad. So there's
So
the
let's see
tofu
the
there.
let's see the yummy test.
Ready?
I'm ready.
It's very rich and peanutty, but the
Fresh veggies.
the veg cuts through that. So the veg is like, I mean, the cucumber's raw. I think the rest of them are probably lightly blanched, so they still hold their shape and everything, and lots of green color. Lovely, yeah?
So great vegetarian alternative.
It is, yeah. And I mean, peanut sauce. Who doesn't love? Well, I guess if you don't like peanuts or if you're allergic,
Stay away
peanut
from
sauce.
peanut sauce.
Peanut sauce raw. It's just a bit too much. I'm going to push some of it off to the side.
All right.
All right, so laksa, one of my favorite things. Actually, remember the first time we traveled to Asia together, we stumbled out of a hotel room in Singapore, and in this little teeny strip mall, there was about 6 or 8 stalls in there, remember? And I went, oh,
It wasn't a strip mall. It was a hawker center, but yes.
a really small though. It
was very small.
And I said, oh, laksa, what's that? So I ordered it. It was like 2 Singapore dollars, which at that time was about $1.25 Canadian, and it was mind blowing,
That
absolutely
was the
mind blowing.
clam one, right? Clam laksa.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah?
Yeah, so this has got a beautiful spicy coconut milk broth with some curry kind of thing in it, and then this sambal, which is one of my favorite things on the planet too, all mixed in there, and oh boy, that's quite delicious.
It's got a bit of heat right from the sambal.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh.
my peanut sauce has a little bit of heat as well. It's not like hot, but it's got a little tingle, which is kind of nice.
And then you get your tear off a little bit of your roti, and in this curry sauce, you dip it in, and that's pretty respectable.
Okay, I have to say,
Not quite as flaky as some, but hey, it's fried bread with curry sauce. What could
yeah,
possibly go wrong?
I have to say that compared to some of the other ones, it looks like it's not quite as flaky. But it's a nice curry sauce. It's still very, very tasty.
We love this. So in South India, this would be like a parota that you get, and there's variations of it all over Southeast Asia, and boy, is it ever good.
Yeah, parota or paratha, which is why it's called prata, roti prata.
Yeah.
That's where that comes from. I don't know where roti I'm guessing that roti canai comes
From
from.
Chennai, South
Despite
India.
the spelling, it's very, very different, but it comes from the city of Chennai in South India.
Yum, yum. Say it with me now. Yum. Can't talk.
So one of the things that this has, or a couple of things. So Gado Gado often has the egg, so you can see that I have a whole hard-boiled egg in here. But what they also do, Hawker's Delight sells separately these veggie fritters. So it's a mixture of vegetables in some kind of batter and deep fried. And I think with their Gado Gado, what they've done is they take some of those veggie fritters and they chop them into littler chunks, bite-sized chunks, and they throw them in with the peanut sauce. So that's a little extra something that you don't get elsewhere, and it's quite tasty. And it's a nice textural contrast as well.
Speaking of extra something, I've got 3 nice sized little prawns in here. Tofu that's just oozing with chili curry sauce, a whole egg, these little slices of fish cake, which are yummy. But what you do is you stir in the sambal. And I got my version with the yellow noodles, and there's another white noodle you can get it with.
So this is what they call the wheat noodle, right? The other would be rice noodle.
And most importantly, it's topped with this Vietnamese coriander, which is also known as laksa leaf, which is kind of where it gets its name from. And it has a really unique and essential flavor for a really good laksa.
But it's the coconut chicken broth that's usually what kind of makes or breaks a laksa.
I could dip a tennis shoe in this and enjoy it.
So it used to be back in the early days. You remember we were rating all the laksas in town?
Yes.
And the thing about the laksa here that we always said was that it was a little coarser. The grind of the spice paste or whatever was quite coarse, and so the texture of this, it was a less refined version.
Yeah.
Is it still that way?
Not exactly, but it does have the depth of flavor that you get with the dried shrimp, and it's got some of the fermented funk in there that's really good. And the sambal is kind of coarse, I guess, but
it doesn't feel like it used to, which is really that it's quite a
it's changed a little bit over time, but this is really good.
Hawker's Delight.
One thing that's always mystified me with Malaysian restaurants in Vancouver, anyway, is how many of them have the word delight in their name. Because first time I went to a Malaysian restaurant in Vancouver, it was called
Orchid
Delight. And then there was Cafe Delight, and now there's Hawker's Delight.
Yeah, Cafe Delight was the first one I went to in Vancouver.
Cafe Delight is now called Mama Lee, and we're going to do a video
more than one. There's more than one location of Mama Lee now.
But the through line is that it's all delightful. Pretty funny. Let's have a little toast in our little plastic cups, and we're hoping that next year we can sit at the grown-ups table. So this is pretty funny. Laurel's portion was so large that she can't quite finish it. And there's a very clearly labeled sign that says if you want to take home any unfinished food, you're going to be charged 25 cents for a takeout container. And wouldn't you know it, in our cashless society, we don't have any change, so she has to go back to the car to get a quarter.
So the Gado Gado was too much for me. I ate a little over half, I guess. So I didn't have any change on me, because of course we paid with a card, and who carries cash these days? And the sign says that it's 25 cents for a takeout container. So I went back to the car, the miracle of editing, right?
You rule follower, you.
I went back to the car, and we have some change in the car. So I got a few quarters, and I walked back, and I went up. We got the container from her. She saw me coming, and she said, "How many do you need?" I said, "Just one." And I tried to give her the quarter, and she went, "No, it's fine. It's okay."
But you did the right thing.
Anyway,
I think
it was very sweet. And now I have a container to take the rest of Gado Gado home.
And quarters.
And I have quarters in my bag, and I think I'm going to leave them there, because that's smart, right?
We're going to go to the place for pinball.
No, we're not.
Oh, I'm so full.
Neither of us finished. And that was only one roast that we split between the two of us, so it wasn't that decadent.
But just to give you an idea, pardon me, chilies, of the deal. In a city where now the average bowl of wonton noodle soup is going for between $15 and $17.
Where a burger, not McDonald's, but like at just a regular, normal restaurant, not a fancy place or anything, goes between $20 and $25.
So this bowl of laksa was $13.50, and it had the better part of a chicken thigh, 3 prawns, a bunch of fish cake, and hard-boiled egg, anyway, no shortage of proteins is kind of what I'm getting at here.
And mine was chock full of various different vegetables, also $13.50. Loads of bean sprouts, tofu, cucumber, jicama, carrots, cauliflower, vegetable cake.
Yeah. So when you're in Vancouver and you want your low budget bit of Malaysian food hit, Hawker's Delight.
It's one of your options, absolutely. And we'll show you some others, but Hawker's Delight is worth your time.
Okay, let's go home and digest.